Good evening, everyone. How are you all? Fine? About me? I'm also fine. I'll be great if you guys will give a positive result, and in all tests you will score the good marks. Yes, everyone, online buddies, hello, hi. Please join if you wanted to take the advantage of these classes where we are going to take the second session of Hello Ranjita. Hello. What is the issue? Okay. So, hello Sonika. Hello Ranjita. Hello Sonika. What is the issue? Please talk to admin. Yes. Hello, this is CS Aarti Panigrahi, your mentor for the business law and management. Vanakkam, namaskaram. Namaste, namaskaram. We are going to start today. We are going to start today the second session of the Contract Act, and at the end of class we are going to take quiz also. Yes, are you excited for your reward? Yes. Online buddies, you can also participate in the quiz and you can win the reward. You can drop your address, and we will dispatch your reward to your place. Yes. So we had covered some basic things in Contract Act. The first lecture we had completed, and in the continuity today we are going to see the classification on the basis of formation, guys. Classification on the basis of formation. So there we will see the express contract. What is the meaning of express in law? The meaning of express in law is something orally or in writing. Okay, oral or writing. Whenever we will talk about something express in law, that is oral or in writing. Okay, so an express contract is one in which the terms of the agreement are expressly stated by the parties either in writing or orally. Okay, now what is the example here? Let's see. A agrees in writing to sell his car to B for 5 lakh. B accepts the proposal. Who had given the offer? A had given the offer. B had accepted that proposal offer. The contract is expressed because the terms are clearly communicated. So it is in writing and it is clearly communicated. So this is which kind of contract, guys? Express contract. Now implied contract. What is the meaning of implied? So express, we had seen that if somebody is telling you orally or in writing, then you will understand it is an express contract. Now what is an implied contract? Implied contract is what, guys? Implied contract is the by the action. Please note down, by the action. If by the action, there is no need of telling something orally or in writing. So what is that? By the action. Okay. Now suppose Hemant had proposed someone on 14 Feb, very serious matter. And when on 14 Feb you propose either orally or in writing. Now that is express contract. Now what is implied? What is implied? If without saying anything, you got married to a girl, that is called the implied. By the action, you got married to a girl, that is the implied contract. ये तुमको बहुत अच्छे से याद रहेगा ना. You will remember it. You will never forget. Yes, that's why I used to give you these real life examples which will suit to your life. Yes. So implied contract is what, guys? An implied contract is inferred from the conduct of the party. As I told, he proposed on the 14th Feb, and in April he got married. Conduct of the parties or surrounding circumstances rather than from spoken or written words. Surrounding circumstances can be after his marriage. Hemant was a happy person. Now he is a sad person. है ना? That is the benefit of marriage. You guys are not, you will not get to know. So the surrounding circumstances and the conduct of the parties. Yes. So the proposal and acceptance are implied through action. This you have to remember, guys. If we are talking about the implied contract, you have to remember the proposal and acceptance will be implied through actions. Okay. Example: A boards a public bus. By entering the bus, A impliedly agrees to pay the fare. Okay. While the bus operator impliedly agrees to carry A to the destination. There is, when at the time of entrance, are you telling that I'm going to Bangalore? Say suppose you are taking a bus for Bangalore. So you are just get into it and you are sitting and the conductor will take the fare from you. He's not your relative that he will take you for free. Are you getting? So it is implied in between you and the conductor that you are going to reach that destination and he is going to take fare from you. Okay, right? So that is called the implied. There is no need of any kind of oral or written contract. Okay. Now quasi contract is a very, very important concept and understanding should also be very important. And as per your exam point of view, this question, they used to ask this from this topic. A quasi contract is not an actual contract. It is not an actual contract. I'll just tell you. Say suppose by mistake, instead of Amit Kumar, you are doing the Google Pay and you had sent the money to another Amit Kumar. Now the another Amit Kumar who was not supposed to take that money, he should send that money back to you or not? Okay, he should send or not. So law had imposed an obligation on you that if something happened like this, you have to return that money or any kind of stuff. So is there any contract in between you and Amit Kumar? I will send the money by mistake, then you will send back to me. Chal hum boogie woogie khelenge. It wasn't this kind of contract? No. Okay, so it is like, law is imposing a duty on you that if somebody by mistake, if they left their things and you are getting that, so you have to return it back. Okay, so this is actually based, this principle is based on the equity and justice. There is no such kind of written law. Okay, so that's why in contract we used to say quasi contract. This is not an actual contract. It is created by agreement. Hello, Praveen Sirvi. How are you? Did you like this example? Praveen is laughing. Yes. So actual contract created by agreement between parties. If it is an obligation, guys. What I said to you, obligation imposed by law to prevent one person from being unjustly enriched at the expense of another. And they can ask you this word, unjustly enriched is what, guys? On the expense of another, on the expense of any other person, you are taking the unfair benefit. You should not, the law is imposing a duty, an obligation on you. You should not take any kind of benefit, unfair benefit on the expense of any other person. This is called the quasi contract. It is based on the principle of equity and justice. Example, if a person mistakenly delivers goods to another and the receiver uses those goods, the law may require the receiver to compensate the owner even though no contract exists between. Now, every time happened in my, it happens actually, you can take it on that group, the PDF. So every time it happened in my home. So somebody that Swiggy and all, no, they always come to my home first rather than going to my neighbor who used to order. Sometime तो मेरे को लगता है कि इसका जो भी आता है निपटा दो, because they used to irritate us every time they are ringing our bell only. But it is a quasi contract. I am obliged by law. Yeah, I should do once. Yeah, right. Yes, yes. So you can ask for the PDF. So the compensation. Did you get this quasi contract, guy? If you got a wallet on the road, you can see inside if the address is there, if the phone number is there, if the money is there. If the money is there, you should go and return that. Okay. Otherwise, you just buy the genie and all. You can do that. Now you tell me, if you are going and returning that wallet to that person and you had spent 200 rupees auto fare, so you have all right to ask that auto fare from that fellow. Are you getting? Yes. So yes. So nobody should take an unfair benefit on the expense of others. Okay. This is the quasi contract. USD? Yes. Okay. Now classification on the basis of performance. This we had seen on the basis of formation. Now we will see on the basis of performance. Executed contract. Executed. Executed is what? Which tense it is? Past tense. Means the work is already done. Okay. So executed contract is what? A contract is said to be executed when both the parties have completely performed their respective obligations and nothing remains to be done. Nothing remains to be done. Already it is done, whatever is decided. So that is called the executed contract. The contract is already executed. Example, A purchases goods from a shop and pays the price immediately. Okay. The seller delivers the goods at the same time. Both the party has performed their obligation, making it an executed contract. Got it? Executory means what? Executory. Yet to perform. Yet to perform. Say suppose two parties are there. One had done their work. Say suppose the shopkeeper had given the goods to the person, but person had not paid the money. So it is still executory. Or maybe the both party had not done their work. Now shopkeeper had not given the goods and the person had not given the money, but it is decided to do these things, but it was not done. So that is called the executory. Let's see the unilateral and bilateral also the part of the executory contract. So an executory contract is one in which performance remains due on the part of one or both parties. Are you getting? One or both parties. Such contracts may be either wholly unperformed or partially performed. It is wholly unperformed or partially performed. Executory contract are as of how many types? Two types. Unilateral and bilateral. Unilateral is what, guys? Unilateral. A unilateral contract is one in which one party has already performed his obligation and only the other party remains bound to perform. Yes, unilateral. Many times it happens, no? One side love. You had proposed, but you didn't get the answer. Oh, ma'am, yaad dila diya aapne. Yeah, yaad dila diya na? Many times happened, ma'am. Many times we used to do unilateral contract. Many times we don't get performed by other. Okay, so unilateral is what? A unilateral contract is one in which one party has already performed his obligation and only the other party remains bound to perform. A announces a reward of 10,000 for finding and returning his lost dog. When B finds and returns the dog, so first A had announced, if somebody will found my dog, I will give the how much rupees? 10,000 rupees. But B had found that dog and he returned that dog to A. B has completed his obligation and only A remains liable to pay the reward. Now bilateral is what? In both party had not performed their obligations. A bilateral contract is one in which obligations remain to be performed by both the parties. In other words, both parties exchange promises to perform in the future. Example, A agrees to deliver goods after 1 month and B agrees to pay the price upon delivery. So they had made a contract that after 1 month we are going to exchange the goods and money. Like A will give the money, goods, and B will give the price. Now Since obligation remain outstanding on both sides, it is a bilateral contract. A bilateral contract is also known as contract with executory consideration because both parties are yet to perform their respective promises. You can check it. Executory means, executory is what? Yet to perform. Either it is wholly unperformed or partly performed, and you can see one party had done, other party had not done the obligation, and in second both the party had not done the obligation. Okay, what doubt you are having? Yes, please ask. नेचर प्रभास शंकर, भाई तेरा नाम क्या है? मैम डाउट कम ऑन, प्लीज लेट मी नो. नेचर प्रभास शंकर, ऊन दही वाला, प्लीज आस्क. ओह, क्रिस्टिनो और मेसी? His doubt is this. Messi. Okay, bilateral contract done. Ask any question regarding this topic, bro. Hello, online gems. Yes. Okay. So bilateral contract is also known as contract with executory consideration. Let's move to the next essential element. Oh, he's giving fire to. Hi, Alfonso. Hi, Alfonso. Essential elements of a valid contract. After a long time, Alfonso. Yes, section 10. This is very, very important. Which section we are going to see in Contract Act? The first one is the essential elements of valid contract, section 10. Section 10 of the Indian Contract Act 1872 provides that all agreements are contracts if they are made by the free consent of the parties. Competent to contract means the parties are having capacity to contract, as we had discussed, like minor is not competent to contract. Any unsound mind people are not competent to contract. Okay, so or free consent, everybody know. We had seen one more kind of contract where free consent was not there. Then what was there? Coercion, gunpoint. Yes, with the pressure or with the forceful contract it was. So the contract, all agreements are contract if they are made by the free consent of the parties. Competent to contract for a lawful consideration means the money should be from the lawful sources. It should not be a smuggled. After smuggling, somebody will bring that money. It is not a lawful consideration. Then and with the lawful object. Your object or purpose or motive should be lawful and are not hereby expressly declared to be void. What does it mean? It should expressly means these all things should be there. Free consent should be there. Competent to contract should be there. Lawful consideration, lawful object, and are not hereby expressly declared to be void. Means expressly is what? In writing or orally, it should not mention there that this contract is an invalid contract. Then it will be a valid contract. Okay. It should not expressly written there that it is an invalid contract. Means everything will be there. Say suppose everything will be there, but expressly it is written that it is an invalid contract. Then it is an invalid contract because it is expressed by the party. Now, if it is not expressed by the party and all the essential elements will be there as per the section 10, then it will be a valid contract. Okay. Thus, every contract is an agreement, but every agreement is not a contract. It becomes, for an agreement to be enforceable by law, it must satisfy certain essential requirements. These essential ensures that the right and obligation created by the agreement are legally recognized and enforceable. Already we had discussed the enforceability. So, two or more parties So first of all, these we will see the elements. In that, the first criteria is 2 or more parties. Can you do the contract by yourself only? Any person can do by themselves only? No, it's no. You need one more party, more than once also. So there should be 2 people at least to make a contract. A contract cannot exist unless there are at least 2 parties. One party must make an offer and other party will accept it. A person cannot enter into a contract with himself. The offer must be definite and capable of acceptance by the definite means the offer, whatever offer you will give, it should be certain and definite. It should not be vague. And the person who will accept it, capable of acceptance. Your offer should be capable of acceptance and somebody will accept it, then it will become the contract. Now, agreement is what? The foundation of every contract is an agreement. What is the starting point? Agreement is the starting point. When we add the enforceability content in that, element in that, then it becomes the contract. But the agreement is the foundation. An agreement comes into existence when one party makes a proposal and other party accepts it. Offer plus acceptance, agreement, already we know this. Without an agreement, there can be no contract. So the second element they are telling, first element is 2 or more parties. Second element is without the foundation of agreement, we cannot enter into the contract. Second. Third is what, guys? Consensus ad idem. It is what? Star mark, question. They ask in your exam, consensus ad idem. It is what? Consent. Consent. If 2 parties we are talking, the 2 parties should have the same mind, same scenario they are thinking, means they are sharing the same thought. It is not that one party is thinking something and other party is thinking something. Okay. So the parties must agreed upon the same thing in the same sense at the same time. Okay. Same thing in the same sense and at the same time. This is known as consensus ad idem or meeting of minds. Meeting of minds. If there is no identity of understanding between the parties, the agreement is void because true consent is absent. If there is no identity of understanding, somebody is saying something and other person is saying something. So if there is no meeting of minds, so what will happen there? There is no valid contract. It will be invalid contract. Okay. Yes. Example, A agrees to purchase B's car. A believes he is purchasing B's red car. Okay. He is thinking B will sell which car? Red one. While B intends to sell his blue car. Since both parties are not referring to the same subject matter, there is no consensus ad idem. Now this contract will not be a valid contract. He will say, I was thinking that you will sell me your red car. You are selling me blue car. Means there is no meeting of minds. Okay. Then fourth one is intention to create legal relationship. Without legal relationship, we cannot say that it is a contract, guys. So legal relationship, the parties must intend that their agreement should create legal relationship obligation. Agreement of social, star mark, agreements of social, domestic or friendly nature generally do not create legal relations and therefore are not contracts. Say suppose you had asked someone to come to your birthday party. You had invited 5 friends and they didn't reach to the party. Will you go to the court and file a case against them? No. Say suppose you had paid to hotel a lot of advance, 1 lakh rupees, then also you can go to the court. Can you go to the court? No. Why? What is the reason? Not friends. Friends are not important. What is important in this? You had paid advance to a hotel to arrange your party. You had invited all of your friends and your friends, some friends came, 10% friends came. There is no legal relationship, but these kind of contracts are which kind of agreement? These are which kind of an agreement, guys? You have to remember social, domestic. You have to remember social, domestic or friendly nature generally don't create a legal relationship, therefore are not contracts. These are the social agreements, guys. Social and domestic agreements. On the other hand, agreements enter into during commercial or business transactions are presumed to create a legal obligation. So social, domestic and friendly nature of agreements are not considering as a contract. Which kind of nature? Commercial nature of agreements are treated as a contract. Clear? Yes. Example, A promises to take his friend B to dinner. This is merely a social arrangement and not a contract. A promises to take his friend B to dinner. This is merely a social arrangement and not a contract. However, an agreement between a seller and buyer for the sale of goods created a legal obligation and is therefore contractual in nature. Are you getting? Easy. Huh? But this is repetitive something. Boring. Competency of parties. The parties entering into a contract must be legally capable of contracting. Legally capable. Before this, which point we had seen? Which point we had seen? Legally capacity. Legal capacity. Before that, we had seen the legal relationship. Legal relationship in the commercial transaction, not in the social and domestic transaction. Okay. Now, competency of the parties. The parties entering into a contract must be legally capable of contracting. According to section 11, every person is competent to contract if he has attained the age of majority, is of sound mind and is not disqualified from contracting by any law. So these conditions you have to keep in mind to understand whether this person is competent, eligible to contract or not. Competencies, their eligibility to become the contracting parties. So what we have to see, they have to attain the age of majority. Second, sound mind and not disqualified from contracting. Means if any regulatory authority had given that this person is a defaulter, he is not able to make any kind of contract, then that person is not competent as per the law. Are you getting? These three things you have to remember. An agreement entered into by an incompetent person is invalid. Apart from that, any person is entering into the contract who are not capable or eligible to contract, then this contract will become what, guys? Invalid contract. Okay. Now the next point is consideration. Consideration is what? What is consideration? Something in return. Okay. And the contract consideration we are talking, which should be lawful consideration, not unlawful consideration. Okay. Consideration is one of the most important element of a valid contract. It refers to something given or promised in return for a promise. Somebody had offered and they are promising that whatever I am offering, I will complete it. Now the other person is accepting it. Okay. So means each party is giving something in return to each other. That is called the consideration. So promised in return for a promise and is often described as a quid pro quo. Means what? Something for something. Something for something. Quid pro quo. Yaad rahega? Something for something. Means A is giving something, B is giving something. Something for something. Quid pro quo. So they can ask you this quid pro quo. What does it mean? Then you have to remember this is about the consideration. If any person is giving something, so the other person have to give something in return. Okay. So consideration may consist of what, guys? You can make the consideration in the form of money, goods, services, any kind of act. Act means any conduct. If somebody is paying you, you can do some work for them. Okay. Or abstinence from doing. Abstinence from doing is what, guys? Restraining them. Restraining. Or stopping them to do something. Stopping. So you will say, ma'am, why we are so telling contract is something where somebody will say something to do something, right? Now I'll give you one example. Abstinence from doing something. Consideration may consist of money, goods, services, an act, or abstinence from doing something. Now, there is an Indian Idol singing competition and one person is giving money to other person. He is telling, we will come in a contract that you will not participate in that Indian Idol. Because I know if you will participate, you will win. So this person is making a contract. A is making a contract with B. You will not participate in the Indian Idol. Then I will participate and I will win. Are you getting? So what conduct it is doing? What A is telling to do? Abstinence from doing something. he's stopping B to do something. Yes, ask. Yes. Pucho? Are you getting this point? Like why what we say, we are entering into a contract for doing something, for making something. But this is also the part of the contract where somebody is stopping someone to do. What is the purpose? A is telling to B, don't participate in this Indian Idol contest. Okay, the singing competition. You don't come there. If you will not participate, I will give you what? Okay, what one person had, yes. He is telling, I will give you 5 lakh rupees. 5 lakh rupees if you will not participate in that contest. If you will not go there, I will. Fixing. And something for something. Okay. So that is the thing. What is the consideration here? He is giving 5 lakh rupees to not participate. To not participate. So that is there. Abstinence from doing something. He is stopping that person to do something. Okay. So these all are consideration. If you are telling someone to do something, you will pay. If you are telling someone not to do something, then also you will pay. And that is called the consideration. Okay. It may be past, present, or future. However, consideration may be real and lawful. Consideration can be past, present, and future. Why, guys? Say, suppose you had done something for someone previously, you can ask that in return, you can ask that. Okay? Yes? So, in detail, I think further also it is given there. And the consideration should be real and lawful. As a general rule, an agreement without consideration is void. If the consideration element is not there, it is not an agreement. Are you getting? If out of one act you are not getting something, or out of others act that person is not getting something, means consideration is absent there. So if consideration is absent there, it is not a contract. It is a kind of charity or help. Are you getting? Yes. So, as a general rule, an agreement without consideration is void, invalid, although there are certain statutory exceptions. This also star mark. There will be some exceptions where consideration will not be there. Okay. Consideration will not be there. Okay. So, these are statutory exception we will see further. It is important to note that consideration need not be adequate, but it must be lawful and valuable in the eyes of law. It is not necessary that somebody had done something and somebody is giving in return. It is not necessary that it will be perfect and proper as per everyone, but it should be at least lawful and what? Valuable in the eyes of law. Right? If say suppose somebody is selling their property to someone for a 80% lesser than the market value. Are you getting? Is it real and lawful? No. The market value of something is, say, suppose 10 lakh rupees, and somebody is giving that property for 1 lakh or 2 lakh rupees. So it should be reasonable and lawful. Yeah, it should be valuable and reasonable and lawful in the eyes of law. Okay, so this was about the consideration. One consideration we will see here. If say suppose a father is gifting a property to daughter in the marriage. Chalo, question for you guys. Yes, online buddies, you can also reply. A father is gifting a property to daughter in marriage. Whether the father will take anything, and there will be a contract. Okay, there are two parties, father and daughter. Now father is gifting property to daughter in marriage. Whether the father will take anything in return, nothing, then it is not a contract, but it is a contract. Chalo, what the daughter will give? Is there any consideration from daughter? Yes, anybody can guess what will be the consideration from daughter? Bolo. What is the consideration for this contract? It is a contract. I am telling you.
There is a social domestic transaction. The contract must be out of love and affection. So Indian contract can be the contract. So that white side they should see
They will give the property, so the from boy side they will take care of the girl. That is the consideration here, the love and affection. The love and affection is the consideration from daughter. Are you getting? This was the question in our CS final they had asked. There was a draft in drafting paper. They had given a draft for this 12 marks question. So in that draft, we should mention the consideration clause should be there. Now, what is the consideration? The one who had not written the consideration. So they didn't get the marks. So the consideration was the love and affection. So a father is gifting a property to daughter. What is the consideration? The love and affection.
the contract that is the contract must be out of love and affection. Here the consideration is love.
Consideration is the love and affection. Consideration is the love and affection. USD. Yes. Okay. Probably we'll get any question regarding this. Okay. Free consent, guys. Free consent, you know, there should be no consent on there should be no forceful consent. It should be free consent. Then only it will be a valid contract. Consent alone is not sufficient. The consent must also be free. The parties are said to consent when they agree upon the same thing in the same sense. Such consent is free when it is not caused by, please underline, it is not caused by coercion, undue influence, fraud, misrepresentation, or by mistake. So consent should be free. You should not be in the which kind of situation? Forceful situation. Coercion is what? Forceful, by the threat. Undue influence, when somebody is influencing politely to you, do this wrong. Undue influence, somebody is having the influence in your life and they are telling you to do something wrong. So that is called the undue influence. Then fraud, you know, misrepresentation, somebody had given the wrong presentation of documents. On that basis, you entered into that contract. That is also invalid. Or by mistake. These kind of contracts are the wrong, invalid contract. Okay. If consent is obtained through any of these factors, the contract may become voidable or void depending upon the circumstances. Either it will be totally wrong or it will be voidable. What is voidable? At the option of which party? At the option of one. At the option of, what was the word? At the option of aggrieved party. Aggrieved, who is suffering the losses, who is suffering the damages. So voidable contract is at the option of aggrieved party, whether that party will treat it as a valid or invalid. Whether that party will treat it valid or invalid. Yes? Now example, if A compels B through threat to sell his property, B's consent is not free and the contract becomes voidable at the option of B. Who had compelled, guys? A had compelled B through threat. Who is aggrieved party here? B is the aggrieved party. Who is forcing? A is forcing. B consent is not, B had given the consent, but it is not free. And the, which free means it is not the same in the same senses. And the contract becomes voidable at the option of B because B is the aggrieved party. B will say, okay, I want to continue this contract. He can continue. It will be valid. Otherwise, it will be invalid. So it is a voidable contract at the option of B. Okay. Now, lawful object and lawful consideration, guys. Both the object and consideration of contract must be lawful. According to section 23, the object or consideration of an agreement is unlawful if it is, how it can be unlawful, guys? If it is banned by law, forbidden, if it defeats the provision of any law, if it is fraudulent, it involves injury to a person or property, if it is immoral, it is opposed to public policy. Again, and the contract act is the problem is what, you know, they In CA foundation also it is too repetitive. Too repetitive. The same thing we had already seen. Forbidden, defeat, fraudulent involves. Okay, if either the object or consideration is unlawful, the agreement is what? Void, invalid. Example, an agreement to pay money for committing a crime is become invalid because its object is what, guys? Unlawful. The money involved in the contract should be lawful. The object, the purpose of the contract should be lawful. You have to remember the object and consideration should be lawful. So the example given here, an agreement to pay money for committing a crime is an invalid, not a valid contract, not a valid agreement because its object is what? Unlawful. Okay, yes, clear? Agreement not expressly declare void means expressly in the writing or orally you had not said it is an invalid contract, so it will be a valid contract. The agreement must not belong to a category that the law specifically declares void. If a law is expressly, law is telling or any parties are telling that it is an invalid, or law is telling these kind of contract are invalid contract, till the time that the contract will be valid contract. So here the agreement must not belong to a category. Which category, guys? Where the law specifically declares invalid. Okay. Certain agreements are expressly declared invalid or void under the Indian Contract Act, such are wagering agreement. What is wagering, guys? Wagering is what, you know? Don't know. Wagering. Wagering contract. This playing this jua and satta lagana, lottery, these kind of. Lottery is legal somewhere, so wagering is jua khelna. क्या बोलते हो कनाडा में? Cards. So these kind of contracts are not a valid contract. Okay, wagering contract and agreement in this, in the games they are doing, no, that you put some money that which team will win, like that. So like these contracts are not the valid contract. Okay, it is not a valid contract. It is not a valid contract. Okay, so agreement in restraint of marriage, you cannot stop anyone to do marriage. If these kind of contract, if somebody is telling come to a contract that you will never get married, these kind of contract is not the valid contract. These are the invalid contract. Agreement in restraint of trade, guys, you cannot stop anyone to do any kind of business. If somebody is doing any kind of contract to tell you that you are not allowed to do any kind of business, these kind of contract are invalid contract. Agreement or contract. Agreement in restraint of legal proceeding. If you cannot stop anyone to start any kind of legal proceeding in the courts, if somebody is making up contract or agreement with you and they are telling you are not allowed to start the court proceeding, these kind of agreement or contract are invalid contract. Okay, so which kind of wagering agreement? And you cannot stop anybody to marriage, you cannot stop anyone to do any kind of trade, you cannot stop anyone to start the legal proceeding. If somebody is doing this kind of agreement or contract, it is not, why they are using agreement? Because it is not turning to a contract, it is not a valid agreement, it is invalid. Okay, so certain agreements are expressly, please remember, law had expressly stated that these kind of agreements are not valid. Not valid. Okay. Such agreements cannot be enforced in the court of law. If anything will happen, you cannot go to the court of law. Okay. Certainty of meaning. Any terms and condition you are putting, it should be certain, it should be understandable, it should not be vague, something which is not certain. If A is saying something that this you have to do to B, and it is not certain, it depends on the future event or whatever it is not clear. So how the other person will accept it and how it will become the promise or how it will become the agreement or contract. Okay, so certainty of meaning, the terms of the agreement must be certain, clear and capable of being understood. A vague or ambiguous is what? confusing, or any kind of vague, bogus. Okay, a vague or ambiguous agreement cannot be enforced because the court cannot determine the exact intention of the party. So any confusing agreement is not a contract because the other party is not clearly understanding that what this person is offering me. So how that person will accept it? So it should not be vague, bogus, or ambiguous. It should not be confusing. Okay. Example, A agrees to sell a reasonable quantity of goods to B without specifying the quantity. I will send you this much of quantity. That quantity is not mentioned. Such an agreement may be uncertain and therefore unenforceable. Because A is offering what? Reasonable quantity. Now, reasonable quantity is how much? Nobody is knowing. So, he can tell the number 1000 unit or 1000 pieces or anything that should be quantifiable. Okay, so it is not quantifiable, it is reasonable, just mentioning that it will be reasonable quantity. Now the other person will say suppose A had said I will send you reasonable quantity, now B will say I will pay you reasonable money. Now A had sent 1000 unit, right, and now B had sent 10 rupees. Are you getting? Now they said reasonable quantity. He sent how much? 1000 unit. B said I will also give you reasonable money in return. What he had sent? 10 rupees. Whether it is reasonable, so it should be certain, definite, and it should mention in the contract. Okay? Yes. Possibility of performance is very, very important, guys. The act promised under the contract must be capable of performance. An agreement to do an impossible act, as I told you that, if anybody is telling you, bring star and moon for me, nobody will bring. So don't enter into these kind of foolish acts. Okay, stupid people comes under these acts. So it should be possible to perform, guys. Act promised under the contract must be capable of performance. An agreement to do an impossible act is invalid from the beginning. It will be void ab initio. From the beginning, it is wrong. Example, A agrees to bring a dead person back to life for consideration. A said to B that I will bring the dead person into life. You pay me 5 lakhs or 10 lakhs, whatever. Since the act is impossible to perform, the agreement is invalid. Okay? Compliance with legal formalities. I think this is the last point. Compliance with legal formalities, guys. The Indian Contract Act generally does not prescribe any particular form for making a contract. Therefore, contract may be oral, written, or implied. Implied means what? By action. Yes. So, however, where any law requires specific formalities, those formalities must be complied with. If there is any requirement of compliances or legal formality this contract have to follow, they have to follow it. So compliances with legal formalities. Such formalities may include writing, contract needed writing, registration, stamping, or attestation. This can be the legal formality or compliances. Okay. Then example, under the provision of the Transfer of Property Act, a transfer of immovable property must generally be in writing, properly stamped and registered. Guys, simply orally you can transfer a property to someone else? No. What are the legal formalities there? You have to what? You have to make a sale deed in writing. You have to do a proper stamping and registration in a registrar office. Okay. So failure to comply with these requirements may render the transaction unenforceable. If somebody is not following these compliances, what will happen? If somebody will cheat you, can you go to the court? You cannot go to the court. So some legal compliances are there. Now we had covered section 10, that is the essential of a valid contract. Means these all 12 points should be there. Please go and revise it, because each and every point, though it looks similar, it is not at all similar. Are you getting? You have to remember the expressly declared contract which are not valid, it is invalid. So these all things you have to remember. Any question they can ask you in your exam. Okay. So we had covered today section 10. Further we will see. Before that, we are going to do our quiz today. Yes. Are you ready for the quiz? Not ready? Get ready then. Yes, what? Shall I start? Yes? Just a minute. Okay. Oh. Let's start it, guys. The first question is, what is meant by... Okay. 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 I know. That's why I'm asking, shall I start? Are you ready? All are ready? Yes. Let's have the first question on your screen. What is meant by consensus addendum? Free concepts drawn together, agreeing upon the same thing in same sense? None of the above. Who will be the winner today? Yes, what is the answer? Everybody had given the answer? So the right answer is what? Agreeing upon the same thing in same sense. The leaderboard is, let's see who is on the top. Fastest. Hemu. Hemu is in the class or online? Yes. So let's move to the next question, guys. Law of contract deals with taxation, law of transfer, laws of ownership, enforcement of obligation arising from agreement. The answer is D. Enforcement of obligation arising from agreement. Let's check the leaderboard. Who is on the top? Rockstar is the fastest, but Hemu is on the top, followed by Vinyasini, Sharanya, Ranjita, Rockstar, and Agent. Agent X9. Oh my god. So the next question is, every promise and set of promises forming consideration for each other is an agreement, contract, consideration, none of the above. Every promise and set of promises forming consideration for each other is an agreement, contract, consideration, none of the above. Everyone has voted. Let's see the answer. The answer is agreement. Agreement. What you had written? Consideration. Huh? Contract. Let's check the leaderboard. Vinyasini at the top, followed by Sharanya, Hemu, Ranjita, Rockstar, Agent, and Ronald. Yes. Next question is, second last question. Contracts are also called contracts with executed consideration. And the answer, unilateral, completed, bilateral, and executed. And the answer is what? Completed. See the leaderboard. Who is on the top? Vinyasini, followed by Sharanya, Rockstar, Hemu, Ranjita, Agent. And who is this? D. Ronald. D company? No, Rockstar. The last question of today's quiz on the board. Last question, sorry. An advertisement for sale of an old flat is published in a leading newspaper. This kind of offer is called. Which kind of offer? Special, continuing, general, open. Voted everyone? And the answer is? Answer is what? General offer. Is a general offer. We had covered general and specific offer. Open offer, you are adding in the law of contract. We had till now what we had studied, general and specific offer. Special. You are not revising, guys. So who is the leader? Vinyasini. Yes, congratulations, Vinyasini. Congratulations, and we will meet. So in every class, after 2 sessions, we are going to cover. Keep revising your lecture, guys. You are not revising, the not much answers were right. Okay, though it looks simple, but it is not simple. Okay, so keep revising your lectures. Online buddies, keep checking the live classes. Join ProTree Academy, follow ProTree Academy for the benefit of these classes where we are doing it too much detail. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much for the patience listening.